أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير. Inshallah, today we will continue Surah Kahf, which we started last time, and I told you it's a small recap that I want to do it before we proceed. So we talked about in this surah there are four important stories. These are not the only lesson you're going to get in this surah. Definitely this surah is full of lessons, but I am talking about the four major stories in this surah. So four major stories have big lessons. Number one story is about the people of the cave. So that story gave us a lesson that there are trials of faith. Number two is the story of owner of two gardens. This is what we are going to do today. And in that story, we will learn a lesson, which is the lesson of, or you can say the trial of wealth. We will see. Number three story would be about Prophet Musa alayhi salam and Khizr alayhi salam, these two people. And that is also a very interesting story. In that story, we will learn lesson about the knowledge. What are the tests of or trials of knowledge? The last story, which would be about the Zulkarnain. Zulkarnain, and I told you it's like a surprise because I didn't want to tell you last time. I don't want to tell you today, but inshallah you will know when we will come to that story. Very interesting personality also. So many lessons to learn. So with that story we get the trial of authority. These are the four important things that we deal in the life almost on a regular basis. Like we know authority. When somebody is given a power, what kind of behavior they have, how do they change when somebody without power and all of a sudden you get the power, your behavior, your attitude changes. So it talks about that, about the trial of authority. Also we see the trial of knowledge. We see that almost every day too, because when we learn so many things, there is a time when we start thinking about, oh, I am superior to others, I know a lot of stuff, I am bigger class, I go to better college, I go to best university, I do this. That is the trial of the knowledge. That you start thinking, because I went to college, because I went to university, and now when you are talking to someone who did not even finish high school, then you feel like I am superior to that person. That is the trial of knowledge. And we do that intentionally or unintentionally. We do that a lot of times. Also, the wealth, trials of wealth, also very common. We see that all the time. Poor people, rich people, they always treat each other differently. And when we, as a middle person, if we have a lot of relatives, some relatives are rich, some are poor, and definitely our treatment with them changes. We treat rich person with a lot of respect, but we treat poor person, we don't even think them anything. They're just like none. They have no value. This is unfortunately it happens. And then the one we did last time, the trial of faith. So many things which is going to test us about our Islam. So if you are not strong inside your heart, you don't feel that strength from Islam, there are chances that we slip. We might go out of the circle of Islam. So we need to make our faith very strong. And that is the reason why we come and do this class every Sunday, so we could learn more about Islam. We could learn more about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about our religion. So it is gonna give you strength, because learning is power. If you don't learn, you don't know it. So we have to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. So all these things are important, and this is the surah which has like a lot of lessons, especially I told you these four big lessons. So, inshallah, today's story we're going to talk about. Last time we did about the people of the cave. So, today's is story number 2. So, this is about the two companions. So, now you will, I want you to visualize like it's the conversation going on. So, two people. They're like, they just like we have sharing dialogue. So it's kind of like that. So you should have the picture in the mind. First, I would like to just go over the story, just give you like a storytelling thing. After that, we will look from the Quran tafsir too, that what the Quran is talking about that. So before we start the Quran, I just want to give you a broader picture. So it's just going to be like a story so you can understand exactly. So in the companion of the two gardens, actually there were two friends, and some people's like some scholars say that it might be like two brothers, but more people agree that it would be like two friends basically, one of whom was rich. So one friend was rich and the other friend was poor. It is said that the poorer friend lived in the path of Allah. So now you have to remember all these things. So we talked about two friends. One is rich, one is poor. The one who was poor, he was like he believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was on the true path, and he contributed most of his assets, like his money, whatever he earned, he just gave most of it towards charity. And he was living a very simple and frugal life. So his life was like he was not showing off anything. He was not rich, but whatever he had, he was giving most of it on the way of Allah. The rich companion, on the other side, he owned two lush gardens, and they were the gardens of grapes, date, and cultivated crops. And the gardens consistently bore abundant varieties of the healthy produce. Sometimes you see the gardens, you have a big garden, and you have so many fruit trees, but not necessarily that all the trees are going to give you a lot of fruit. Sometimes you see some trees are like loaded with fruits. Some trees are like they hardly have any, but they are full blown tree, but they just don't have any fruit on it. But this guy, the rich person, his garden has all the fruit trees which were loaded with fruits. So he had a lot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a lot. So he had like he had everything. Allah caused river and streams to flow in between the two gardens. So it's like if you have a river in your garden, imagine that. It's like 24/7 you have a supply of water there. Instead, if you don't have anything, you don't have fresh flowing water, then what you have to do? You have to do artificial means. You have to do artificial stuff, like you can make small canals, or you can just make a pond there to where you can collect water, and then you can just water your crops. But if you have a river flowing in the middle, you don't have to worry about that part. Oh, I have to collect water, I have to do this. Now in this case there's nothing you have to do. So this guy was like really blessed. And the two gardens continuously yielded like his magnificent harvest, like a lot, without fail, and thus became a reliable source of great income. So it was like giving him lot of income. So that is the reason why he was rich. As with most human, what happened? It begins who are bestowed wealth and ease. The abundance of wealth made the rich companion arrogant and diverted him from the path of Allah. Usually, this is what happened most of the time. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives somebody a lot of money and make the person really wealthy, what happened? We become arrogant. As I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this class, we become arrogant. We start treating people like they have no value, and we think of ourselves superior to them and they are inferior, which is not good. In Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like that. Allah created everybody equal. So he did, the person, the rich person, he actually took great pride in his abundant crops, financial and social growth, social strength, and the respect that he commanded from his peers. He used to spend many hours in the two gardens and marveling at his accomplishment, being boastful and arrogant. All of these attributes are displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what this guy used to do, every day he would go in his garden and he would look at all the things. He would just feel happy, just feel so accomplished. When do you feel accomplished? When you think that everything, the credit goes to you. I did that. It's my hard work. It's my thing. I studied so well. That is why I got admission into good university. It's me, me, me. Everything is around you. But this is not the case. That's not how it is. It's actually everything is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the lesson we need to learn. Whatever we have, it's not, it has nothing to do with our abilities. Yes, we do ability, we do try things, it works, but you should not be thinking that it's only me. You should say, yes, I did my best, but it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one at the end who gave me. What if I do all the struggle? But Allah does not will that. It's not Allah's will. He doesn't want me to get that thing. Is there any person on the earth who can give you that thing? If Allah decide to not give you, no, there is no one. Even every person you collect on this earth, all of them, and you ask them to help you, get you out of your misery, nothing, nobody can help you if Allah does not want to help you. So it is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What mistake this guy was doing? He was going in his garden every day. He would just look at the crops, look at the fruits. He would just feel so proud of it. Look what I did. Oh my God. Look, 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 look. It's my hard work. I did that. And now I'm learning. I'm earning all this, the money from this because of this is everything is because of my hard work. So he was giving credit to himself, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then this is not the only thing. Another thing he would do, that he would, wherever he sits, like he would in a gathering, he would be with his friends, his companions, he would just keep mentioning about these things. He would just, like boost it of his wealth to his companion, rubbing into his companion's face that he is not as successful as him. So he was just like, comparing himself to others. Oh, look at you. You don't even have that. Look at me. I have all that stuff. I have a lot of things. I am rich. I have big, big gardens. And at that time, in the old times, if somebody has a big garden, it was like something really important. Like for maybe today in this time, we might not think of it as a big blessing. If somebody has a garden, then so what? But if somebody has like a big factory, some, like something big, you have big business, you have like franchise and you have multiple branches, you might consider that person like really rich. But at that time, if somebody had garden like him, his garden like the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, if it's like him, then you know that it's a big blessing. So he was really blessed with this thing, and he would just go out in people, start comparing. Look at, you don't even have a garden. Look, you don't even have a money. You look at your house and look at my house. So he would all the time doing it, and what it does, it make other person upset. When you keep mentioning, I have this, you don't even have that, what is the other person going to do? There's nothing he can do to change this thing. This is Allah's decision. If Allah does not want to give anyone, he's not going to give it. So it was bad what he was doing. Sometime he would say to his people, oh, I am more than you in wealth. I am stronger in respect. Like, because I have more wealth, everybody should respect me. Because they think they associate wealth with the respect, which is not true. That's not how you get the respect. Respect comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your wealth, your education is not gonna give you respect. So his boastful attitude also extended to his children, who did the same with their companions. So it's like, whatever, we copy our parents in so many things. Whatever our parents are doing, even sometimes we know that it's not good. Maybe what our parents are doing, you don't like it, but you are absorbing it. One day, sooner or later, you will start doing those things too, because that's what we are watching. That's what we see on a daily basis. So his kids absorbed it from him. They got it from him. Same thing, being arrogant, doing a comparison between, companions. So it's like something which the father was doing, the kids were doing the same thing. Eventually, he became so dazzled by his wealth that arrogance, pride, disbelief, it blinded his heart. That he, what does it mean, heart become blind? Because we say, in our heart, we know exactly if something is right or wrong. Sometimes we say some bad thing to other person. All of a sudden you realize, oh, maybe I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said that. I said this, it might have hurted their feeling, and I don't know why I did that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has implanted in our heart this thing. It is like a scale that tells you something, instrument to measure, that tells like what is right and what is wrong. So every time you do something wrong, you have that feeling inside, no, this is not correct. I don't know, I think I made a mistake. And you should always listen to that voice. So this guy's heart became blind. So now, when it is blind, it means it cannot see what is right and what is wrong. And if you continue doing that, then what happened? What is the last stage? First stage is, like I told you, like the heart become blind, and after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seal the heart. You keep doing it, you don't listen to that sound that is telling you something is wrong, this is not right, what you are doing is a wrong thing. So we have to listen to that. If we don't listen to that, your heart will become blind, and if you continue doing that stuff, later on, the last thing that will happen to that heart is the heart will become, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put a seal on the heart. Do you know seal, what a seal is? Seal is like, every time if you have to mail a letter, what you do at the end, you just close it. We don't seal it, but if you see, if it's like a very important document, then on that document at the end where you close it, there is a seal on it. So that's how they know if somebody tried to open it, the letter. So if they try to do any stuff with it, then the seal is broken. So once a seal is on the heart, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sealed it, then nothing is going to go inside. Now, no matter what people tell you, no matter how many classes you go to learn Islam, nothing is going to go inside your heart, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala locked it. Your heart is not now locked. So we have to protect ourselves before we get into that situation. So once we get there, it is so hard. It's almost like impossible to get out of that thing. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us from it. So he was like, it happened, and then what, he felt secure, invincible with his vast possessions and the status they brought him. He began to formulate the view that his garden was indestructible. Every time somebody think like this, oh, nothing is gonna happen to this. Remember that thing? I don't know if any of you watched that Titanic movie. In the movie, you know what the owner said? He said that my ship is unsinkable. Nothing can happen to my ship. So what happened? Just after a few hours, maybe after one day, or I don't know exactly how many hours, but what happened? It was gone. So every time we say something like this, which is not good because we don't have any power for that thing. So we should be very careful what we say. So this guy was thinking that my gardens can never be destructive. Nothing is going to happen, nothing, and it would never perish. He felt so secure in his this materialistic cocoon that he even began to deny the coming of the day of judgment. That's what comes next. Because if you are so much into your this world, you're so much into thinking the benefits of this dunya, this life only, that you forget about day of judgment. When you forget about the day of judgment, then you don't even work for it because you don't even know it's going to happen now. You don't want to think about it because every time you think about it, you have to make some sacrifices. You have to make some changes in your life, which people are not willing to. So he almost forgot, he denied about the day of judgment or the concept of resurrection before his Lord. He even forgot that. Like he was like, he did not want to think about it. That one day I will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I will be answering to all these things, what I have been doing. So he was like, he even rationalized that even if the day of judgment existed, he would be granted an even better garden. Look at it, subhanallah. Look at it, the way his thinking is. Why was he saying this? The reason he was saying this, because he was arrogant, right? First of all, yes, he was arrogant. So he was like kind of this thing that he was saying that even if it's, let's say I believe you, day of judgment is gonna come, which I doubt. That's what he was thinking. But if I, for a moment, I think yes, if it is gonna come, then I am sure that on that day, Allah is gonna give me something better or equal to this. The ones I have in this life, the gardens, the lush gardens I have. So he was actually deceived into thinking that the worldly favors bestowed on him by his Lord was because of his superiority over others. So this is what actually he was thinking, that I am God's favorite, I'm Allah's favorite, and the sign of his favor is that Allah chose me over his people, and he is the one who granted me all these things, is the sign of his love, that Allah loves me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he give priority to me, and he knows like other people are inferior, I am superior. This is from Allah. That's why he gave me all these blessings. If he won't like me, why would he give me everything? So he just assumed because I got everything in this world, it means that I will get the same in the life after. So, this is what he was thinking, and his way of thinking demonstrated no true belief in the hereafter, his meeting with his Lord, or any accountability to his Lord and the people around him. And when you don't believe on the day of judgment, your life become like, it's because you are arrogant, you are denying the day of judgment, your life is totally different now. If somebody who believe on the day of judgment, you will live your life in fear. Fear of what? Fear of hellfire. Fear of standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you don't even believe that thing, of course, then you have no fear in the life. You will mistreat people. You will do all the bad stuff. Even when you are doing some sins, you don't regret, you don't feel bad about it because you don't feel like that one day you have to answer this. But for us, when we think about, oh, I really like that thing my friend has. I wish I could get that pen, but now you can't afford it. And if you do not believe on the day of judgment, what would happen? You will just go and you might go and steal it from the friend because it's like, it's easy way to get it. than earning, working so many hours so you could get some money. When you get the money, then you go and buy it. Who would wait that long? So instead of that, it's much easier that you just steal it from that person and you will get it right away. So, but if somebody who believe on the day of judgment is definitely not gonna do that. He will like, no, I will only get from my own money. I cannot steal from anyone. So this is how your attitude change if you believe on the day of judgment. Now come to the other person, the one who was his friend who is poor. The poor companion tried to counsel him to be more grounded and humble. Look at this. Look at the character here. The poor person, he is trying to help him because he really cares about his akhirah. He really cares about his friend. That's why he is trying to counsel him. If you do not care about other person, you won't even bother going and telling that person, what you are doing is wrong. You will say, I don't care. Whatever he does, he should know it's right or wrong. He's the adult. It's not my job. Why should I tell him? But then the friend did not say that. Friend is like, no, he's my friend. Even though he has some bad habits, he has some bad stuff, but I am his friend. And it's my job to tell him this is wrong and this is right. So he would try to counsel him, and he told him, you should be humble. You should not be arrogant because Allah does not like those people who are arrogant. And then he reminded his rich friend of his lowly origin that applied to all human beings. Then he said, do you disbelieve in Allah who created you out of dust? So he was trying to, because the friend was not listening, he was not paying attention, he was being careless, regardless of how many times this person is telling him. He was like, he does not want to take anything from him. So he was trying to tell him now that do you disbelieve that Allah who created you and then fashioned you into a man? Look at your creation, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you, and look at yourself right now, who you are. But as for my part, this is the poor person is saying now, that as for my part, I believe that He is Allah, He is my Lord, and none shall I associate as partner with my Lord as Him. So He is the only one that I consider my Lord. He is Allah. I do not associate any partner with him. Look at his attitude. He was poor person. He does not have all the blessings. But look at his connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this was also a reminder that the Lord is the creator of all things, and that if he was capable of creating them the first time around, then he could equally recreate them on the day of judgment. In relation to the arrogant way, the rich man strutted proudly in his garden and gloating over his riches. The poor companion, he recommended a better approach. He told his friend, it was better for you to say, every time you enter your garden, instead of, I told you what he used to do, he entered the garden, he would just keep admiring himself, looking at his crops, his all the vegetation there, all the fruits. He would just keep giving credit to himself. But the poor person is trying to tell him, you know instead of that you just go start praising yourself non-stop, looking at it, becoming happy and just praising yourself. Instead of that, what you should do, that you should, every time you enter your garden, you should say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What does that mean? There is no power but Allah. This is what you are supposed to say. But instead of that, look what you are saying every time you enter your garden. So it means that the richer companion should acknowledge and be aware that all these blessings he has, it came from Allah and not through his personal talent or abilities. This is what we think these days. Whatever we do, whatever we accomplish, we say, this is through my personal talent, because I have talent, because I have this ability. That is why I'm getting it. That's why I got it, what I have right now. Allah, and not through his personal talent. So this is, he would not give credit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He would not even think like that, that this is from Allah and one day he can take it from me, because it's nothing is permanent on this earth. Everything is temporary. Whatever blessing we have it today. We don't know if we're gonna continue having that tomorrow. When Allah give it to us, he can also take it away if you do not say thanks. If you want to preserve your blessings, all the blessings you have, you might not think of any blessing at this moment. I don't know what blessing do I have. So then you need to work on it. You need to think about it. What are the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us as a family, or to me as a person individually? What do I have? Do you have eyes? Can you see? That's a big blessing. Do you have hands that you can do stuff from your hand with your hands? You know you can use them. Think about the people who do not have hands. I'm sure you might have seen some videos, some posts where you see some people who do not have hands, or sometimes something happened to them, accident, anything, and they have to, doctors have to cut their hands. Sometimes people, they do not have their feet, they had artificial legs. So it's everything is a blessing. We don't even think about them. Do you have a heart? Do you have a good heart? Good heart means that you can think about good stuff. Bad heart is like you're always thinking about sins, crimes, things like that, about the ways of hurting other person. But if you always think good, you think about like, no, there is one Allah. Yeah, I should help poor person. You have a soft heart. That is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Other blessings, that every day you wake up, you have a house. You go to sleep, you have a bed. Every day you eat. There is not a single time when you think like, today I'm so hungry, but I don't have anything to eat. Not because nothing is cooked. You don't have, because your mom was busy, mom was outside appointment, so there was like no food ready. That's not what I mean. You know that, okay, when mom is gonna come, she will cook and I will have food. I'm talking about in a situation where you don't even know when your next meal is gonna come. You don't know that. But we here, living here in this culture, in this society, in this country, we know exactly. Yes, we have so much stuff. It's just a matter of cooking. Once I cook it, I will eat it. So this is a big blessing. Instead, you go to your pantry. Your pantry is full. There's so many snacks. Our refrigerators are full. Our freezers are full. We do have so many stuff there. So we have so many blessings. You have your parents alive. That's a big blessing. Think about orphans who don't have parents. Think about those people. So these are all the blessings we have. If you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve your blessings, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you do not thank me for the blessings I gave you, I will take them away. If you really love your blessings, if you really love your eyes, your eyesight, if you really love your hands, if you really love that you have a good brain that you can think, you can study, you can read. Have you seen anyone like somebody like some there are like people born with some, some kids born with some they have disease, So many diseases, so many problems going on once they're born. Their brain does not grow properly. So when they get to the age, like maybe they are like 12 years old, 15-year-old, but their brain, their thinking ability is just like a baby. It's not growing like as they are growing. So it's like a big gap between that. So when you talk to them, or some of them can't even talk, they cannot even survive alone. They always need 24/7. They need someone who can take care of them. They cannot take care of themselves either. So those, like all, like the people who do not have it, and it's not their fault. This is Allah's decision. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows exactly what I'm gonna give to this person, what am I gonna give to that other person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's distribution. So if you have your brain, your good brain, that you go to school, you study, and you pass your exam, you have a good brain. You have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. If you do not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take it away. So we do not get to that point. We do not have to take it to our limits. Like, okay, I don't care. No, I will have it forever. Like this person, this guy, the poor person, the rich person's attitude, it will never perish. This is what his idea was. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us everything is gonna come to an end. Surah Ar-Rahman in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala tell us that everything is gonna come to an end, except the only thing that will be left is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So nothing is gonna be forever. Nothing is eternal except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to, what we are learning from here, we have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. This is the thing we learn from this surah, Surah Kahf. It says that every time you look at your blessing, you should say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. This is from Allah. There is no power but Allah. This is Allah's power that Allah gave me this. So you guys are all with me. This is something you need to write. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. This is the lesson. Two lessons we learned so far. You have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to check your blessings and think about it. These blessings are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on daily basis. If you do it every single day, this is really good. That's the best thing you can do. Say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah for everything. Alhamdulillah, you gave us all these blessings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I cannot thank you enough. You gave me so much. My thank is not up to that level. Even if I keep thanking you every single day, 24/7, I do that, still I cannot pay back. I cannot give you thanks enough to my blessings. So this is what we have to do. We have to do, and we need to say La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Okay, so now let's see what else do we have in this story before we get to the Quran part. I think we should get to the Quran part next time, because I don't want it to get like too much for you guys. If we just leave it like a story from this time, so at least you will have a idea, and from the ayat of the Surah Kahf, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us regarding these two companions, we will go over that next time, because I want you to do it slowly, but do it good, not rushing, and then at the end you are like everything is so mixed up that you don't know what we are doing. I want you to have a clear picture, exact, like, okay, this is what the surah is talking about, so you will feel comfortable. So if you have to explain it to someone, you know what to tell. So let's see if there's anything else left in this story. Maybe few things, I guess, before we end the class. So the poor person, the poor was the poor companion who was trying to counsel his friend. This guy was not as rich. He was not, he did not have a lot of children, because the rich friend was, one thing he has is like he was rich because he has a lot of money from his garden. Also he had lot of children. So children, if you, at that time, it's like they used to think if you have more children, this is a big blessing you have. They even, people even feel proud of that too. So this poor companion, he was not as rich, he did not have as many children as his rich friend, but the best part, he accepted this as the will of Allah. He said, this is from my Allah. Whatever He decreed for me, I agree. I accept it. Whatever He decided, I accept it. Because I am His servant. Was his attitude. And then he was like realizing that there existed the higher wisdom in it. That whatever Allah gave me, it's Allah's wisdom. That Allah is the one who created us. Of course, He knows exactly what is best for me. I do not know what is best for me. Sometimes we make dua for a thing, and on the long run, that thing is not going to help us. And instead, helping us, it's going to put us into more in a bad position. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He knows exactly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never ever give you something which is gonna harm you in the future. So, but we say, we start complaining. Oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give me this. I ask Him, I'm making dua so many times, I'm still not getting it. My duas are never accepted. We come to this attitude, but we should always think, who am I? How I was created. Look at the comparison. Look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not know exactly how big Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is because we have never seen Him, right? But we can see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. If somebody created something that big like this universe, look at the sky is so big. It's humongous. Sky, it's not one sky. You know that we have seven skies? The same way we have earths, one earth, we have like seven earths. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, we only see one sky which is on top of us. That is the first sky which we see. We don't know like how the other skies look like because we've never seen them. For us, it's a big thing. So if somebody who can create things this big, think about him, how big Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. So he accepted everything. No, if it is what I got, I know that there is a big wisdom behind it from the one who created me. And there is it would be for benefit for me in this world and in the hereafter. So whatever Allah granted or withheld for me, I accept it. This was his attitude, and this is the attitude we need to take. This is how we should think. He was also acutely aware of the temporary and fleeting nature of any material accomplishment that Allah can bestow or deny in the blink of an eye. Therefore, he continued reminding his friend not to place too much emphasis on this world, on his wealth, because these were all subject to his Lord's determination. Like it is on Allah. Allah, whenever He wants, He can take it away. If you see me less than you in wealth and children, it may be that my Lord will give me something better than your garden and will send on it a torment or a bolt from the sky. So he was trying to tell his friend that whatever I have, even though if it is something very small that you see in this world, I don't have a lot, but maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me something much better than this in the life after death. On the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might give me something better than this. And then the one you have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you never know if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna send a lightning on your garden and your garden will destroy and it will become like like a barren ground, barren earth, like the one which does not produce anything, or maybe it become deep sunken, it like your garden go underground, so that you never be able to seek it, you will never be able to get it. So these are the some of the things that, like he would say, like he would try to tell his friend he was doing his best. So then his friend come on the straight path. So what happened at the end? A lightning came and his garden got destroyed. Everything finished, nothing left. All of a sudden, in the blink of the eye, it was gone. That's what happened. So, this is what the thing is. Whatever we have in this life, it is something that is not gonna last forever. So, whatever you have it today, you don't know, you're not sure if you're gonna have it tomorrow. So whatever we have to be thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you gave it to me. Whatever thing you get in the life, if you get something good, always thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that blessing, that Allah, it is because of you. You made it happen. You are the reason. I have no ability. I have no power. There is nothing I can do without your help. You help me. I did my best, but it's you. Actually, it is from you. When you recognize this, that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. Allah will give you more and more if you adopt that attitude. So at the end, the rich guy was left with nothing. Everything was gone and he was left with zero stuff. And the poor guy, nothing happened to him because he was already poor, and whatever he had, he was content with it. He was like, no, this is if this is what Allah gave me, maybe this is what is best for me. And this is what we are learning from here. And I told you, this is the trial of wealth. Now you see why? Because we see in our daily life too, we see in our between our relatives, we see between our friends. So this thing is something that is not new for us, so we have to be careful now since we learned it. So second story is done. I just told you today the story part. Inshallah, next class we will go over from ayat, from verses of the Quran regarding this, and we will try to see relate this story with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. Because of course in the Quran, when you see this story is not in that much detail, but this is the I got it for you from other places, so then I can tell you exactly and in a story form. Because if we listen to something like a story, it's easy for us to remember. So now you have a broader picture, you know exactly what happened, and like two, like dialogues going on, so two friends. So next time when we will read the ayat from Surah Kahf, you will know exactly what we are talking about. So inshallah, we will end this class today here, and next time I want you to, if you get the time, try to read ayat number 33. I think it is starting from 33 to 41, 43. Like if you can just do 10 ayat and try to see if you can find something like a translation of it, or maybe some small explanation. Because if you just read that and when you come to the next class, you won't feel lost. You will enjoy it because you know what we are talking about. And since you already have a idea about from today's class what is going to happen next time, so it's going to be fun. So inshallah, we will finish this thing from the Quran next class, and after that class, inshallah, then we will have our next class will be on Prophet Musa alayhi salam, which is a very interesting story. You will love that story. And it has a lot of stuff going on inside. So inshallah, today we will just end this class here. I hope you enjoyed the story. And I hope and I pray that we all learn lesson from this story and work on it. And we will see, like all of us, we need to see which character we want to be. Because sometimes, we watch movies, we might watch some programs like, shows, and then you have your favorite character in it, and you are like, oh, I want to be this, I want to be like this, I want to be like this. In this one, you need to pick one. You need to see which one you want to be. You want to be a poor companion, you want to be a rich companion, which one you want to be. And again, as always, I ask you, whatever you write, send it to me, because I really enjoy reading your notes and I love looking at them. And at the end, if you want, I told you, like, if you really want, you can also make pictures with it. Not right now, not during the class, because I know it's not enough time, but you can make your own small book of about Surah Kahf. Think about it. Imagine how interesting that would be if you just, at the end of this class, you will come up with your own small storybook. And then you have illustrations, you have pictures there, and you have like in a story form. And then if you can let it borrow, like maybe your friends, your cousins, look at this, how everybody's going to be impressed of your work. And that is going to give you a lot of reward. If somebody is reading it and they start working on it, it's going to become a sadaqah jariyah for you. Sadaqah jariyah is continuous reward. So inshallah, I'm looking forward to see some work like those of you who are artistic, and I know who are those kids, and I know they will do something really nice. All of you, actually, I have seen your work when we used to do class in person. I remember that you guys did such a really great job. It was like so nice to see everyone. You do your best, and some of you are like, wow, awesome. So, inshallah, with this one, I want you to do the same thing. Make your own storybook. It doesn't have to be too big like a novel. No, just small storybook. So you just at the end, you just have few pages with some pictures and do your best, be creative. So inshallah, I'll see you next Sunday. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.